All right, I'm told we actually now have Mr. Caldwell here. Let's bring him on in. He fights this weekend. Maybe the best fight of the weekend. He takes on Kyoji Horiguchi in the long-awaited rematch. There he is. There he is, Mr. Wolfpack himself. How are you, sir?
Luke, how you doing, baby?
Good. Nice to meet you. Have a seat, my friend.
Yes, sir.
I thought we were going to lose you there for a little while.
Not at all. I'm here, baby.
How are you?
I'm good, man.
Yeah?
Yes.
You've been to New York City before, yeah?
Absolutely. I'm a Jersey boy.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
How could I possibly forget?
How could we forget?
So you're going to have a ton of fam there?
Absolutely.
Yeah? You like it that way?
Yeah, man. I love the support. You know, more support the better.
When you wrestled, did you have a ton of fam come?
Absolutely.
By the way, I've always meant to ask you this. How did you end up at NC State, of all places? Now, I know they had, like, Gwizdowski. They've got a decent program there, but, like, you were, like, the top dog. I don't mean to demean NC State. It's a fine program.
Well,
but you could have gone anywhere, is I guess what I'm saying.
For sure. I definitely could have gone anywhere. Before I went to NC State, it wasn't really a traditional wrestling school, program. I feel like when I beat Metcalf and I brought some spotlight into the organization is when, you see the G Whizzes and you see the Kevin Jackson, you see all the other studs come up across that platform. But I really feel like I catapulted the Wolfpack Wrestling Club in 2009 when I won the NCAA championship. Before then, it wasn't an All-American since like 1992. So big reason that why I went there was we had Tony Davis there. He was a national champ at Northern Iowa, and so he was real vocal and really just hands-on in my college career. And so I just really took a liking to his style, and it fit me well.
Do you go back at all?
I've been back. I actually went back last September. We had a golf out, and they brought a bunch of alumni there.
Are you a big golfer?
Not at all.
Yeah.
But not at all. I went there for the shits and giggles.
Yeah. Just to go see the college kids? They look so young.
Absolutely.
How old are you now, 31?
31.
They must look super young to you.
Yeah, and they're big and they're strong too. I'm like,
yeah.
I got in the wrestling room, I'm like, man, they're a different beast over there.
Yeah, they're all like Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
They're all enormous.
They brought me on the football field. I'm like, man, I don't remember the football players being this big.
Know.
Maybe it was just you see that picture of the cat looking at himself in the mirror and you see a line on the other side. Maybe I was just like in that mode my whole college career.
Let me ask you this. I think I read this. So part of your wrestling ambitions after college got derailed by shoulder injuries?
Yes.
Now, what happened to your shoulders?
Well, it was a freak accident. Honestly, was rollerblading, doing some crazy.
That's a very
right?
late 90s thing to do.
Real talk. Like I grew up like skateboard, like trying to skateboard, just like I like wheels. I like things that are a little edgy, And so one night I just happened to see some kids walking past, and they had rollerblades in their hands. I'm like, oh, what size are they? And they fit me, and I think it was just like perfect. It was just a perfect night for me to get injured. I wound up taking a fall, bust my shoulder up, tried to come back a little early, busted up again wrestling Henry Cejudo at the Olympic Training Center there.
Yeah.
He got really strong hips,
No relation to Henry, I don't believe.
No, that's his brother.
Is it really?
Yeah. So he was at the Olympic Training Center training a little bit, and then I came back 6-7 months after my initial surgery.
Now, what kind of surgery did you get?
It was just a regular orthoscopic surgery.
Was it like labrum or?
Labrum, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've had the labrum one as well, which is why I ask.
And with those, you gotta take your time,
Bro.
And it's especially wrestling, the positions you put yourself in wrestling is just real compromising with the shoulders. And so when I came back, I think I rushed the rehab process, and I went out to the Olympic Training Center, because I was doing really well, before that injury, and I feel like I was at the pinnacle of the sport, and I just wanted to get back on top, and so wound up busting up my shoulder again, had to get another surgery, and so I redshirted that year. Before that, or after that first surgery, came back and then busted up again, and it was inevitable. I needed another surgery. I didn't get it my redshirt senior year. I just kind of wrestled the whole year. It kept coming in and out, and after nationals, I didn't do well at nationals. I went 1 and 2, and then won, and then I bust my shoulder up in my second match, and I just forfeited out the tournament.
Now, how come it doesn't bother you in MMA, or maybe it does?
Well, no, it's been so long. A lot of rehab, a lot of recovery. It's been about 8 years since my shoulder's been messed up. So
No subsequent issues?
no problems.
Oh, okay. Even when someone's doing Kimuras or anything like that?
No problems.
Oh man, mine never feels the same.
Actually,
Ever.
like I got
Is it on your dominant hand or?
Yeah, my dominant hand. So I got a bionic shoulder. You know, it's like I invite you to come try my shoulder.
Do you have the same range of motion?
Absolutely.
See, I don't. They purposely, when they restitched mine, they purposely limited range. Like I can show you. So like I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
This is the one I had repaired. So I can take this. I can go this far out. This is my left hand.
Man.
They purposely stitched it so that I couldn't.
Yeah.
Because mine was falling out of my socket in my sleep.
Yeah, me too. I would be sleeping and it just sink in, right?
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, what's going on?
Hurt
Like, yeah,
so bad.
for sure. So what they did with mine was they took it and they kind of made it so tight rather than just taking it and like stitching it up here inside. Yeah. They overlapped it and it took a while for me to get that range of motion back, you know. But when I got it back, you know, it just was regular, normal.
How excited are you for this rematch? I gotta tell you,
excited.
I'm super pumped. This might be the best fight on paper this weekend. There's some good fights. Don't get me wrong. There's some good fights. I think this is the one.
This is the only one that matters, honestly. This is the only fight for a real belt. This is the only fight. I mean, you got two of the very best 35-pounders in the world, and to me, this is, and I'm sure that a lot of people, this is the only fight that matters.
All right, so let's talk about the first one. So you go over to Japan. How was the trip to Japan, by the way? So many people complain about the jet lag. Did the jet lag affect you at all?
I think anything that could have went wrong in Japan, it did.
Really?
Yeah, I mean.
But you were winning right up until you weren't, sort of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it was a loss of focus, you know. But mental lapse, you know, and I learned from that. You know, I learned from there.
All right, let's back up a step. You said anything that could go wrong in Japan did. So let's go through things. What went wrong?
Well, usually, you know, let's take yesterday, for instance. I get here in New York, you know, 5 days out from the fight, when right where I want to be. I'm 145 right now, you know. Usually that's where I'm at, you know, when I come in for fight week. I got to Japan, I was like 154, 155, you know. So already I'm like fighting, you know, my weight, and then just like the hydration process, like figuring out foods and, you know, figuring out, like we were doing like we were like touring the city, like, you know, where I'm like, I'm not used to being a tourist, you know? And so, you know, I really just feel like that maybe like just overwhelmed me, you know? So, and people always talk about like, yeah, you know, how's the Japanese crowd? I love the Japanese crowd. They're super quiet, but, you know, what they don't really know is it was actually a party before the fight, you know? When I usually get to the arena, it's about 2 or 3 hours before, you know, and I'm fighting. You know, I was at the arena for like 8, 9 hours, just sitting around, you know. And anytime I try to go to sleep, you know, get some rest, somebody's waking me up, you know. So, you know, I was like, toward that third round, I just wasn't as focused as I could have been. So I feel like anything that could have went wrong, it just wasn't my night. I learned from that and I moved forward. And June 14th, I'm gonna take this guy out.
All right, so let's talk about some of the other things. We saw what Sage Northcutt. Now he was a striker, fought another striker, but it was in a ring, which has completely different spatial dynamics. One, everything's a right angle, so it's sharp corners. And two, the ropes are a little bit different. So how much of the right angles and the ropes were an issue when you fought Horiguchi the first time?
Well, I just feel like, you know, just the whole stop in the fight, in the middle of a fight, you know, when I got
reset the position.
reset position. I think that threw me off, you know, maybe put him in better position, but, you know, they did put me back in the position and I lost it, you know, so it wasn't anything that I could have finished the fight and I should have finished the fight, so it was my fault, you know, but definitely the ring played a factor, you know. I was exerting energy in places where I shouldn't have, where, you know, if it was in the cage, you know, it's not foreign, it's not new, I know where I exert energy, where I can position myself.
Like when to advance on a position,
absolutely,
when to hold it.
Absolutely.
Right?
You know, we were slipping through the cage. It was chaos, you know.
Yeah, that's a weird one. But you were doing pretty good. So you got submitted in the third round, if I'm not mistaken. First 2 rounds were all yours, though.
Yeah, no, he had some success on his feet, you know. He caught me off balance a few times, you know. Again, lack of focus probably, you know. But yeah, I think that third round, if you watch that fight, you know, I literally put him in position to submit me. I literally took him down, you know. Rather than posturing up, I took my head, put it on his, like here, I took his leg, put it here, you know, and pretty much
He just took what was there.
Yeah, I gave it to him, and so I'm not gonna give him anything. He's not gonna have any room to breathe.
All right, so have you gone back and watched the fight?
Yeah, I went back and watched the fight.
Do you normally do that? I get a variety of answers when I talk to fighters about that.
Well, it just depends, This one, I needed to know like where I went wrong, what happened, because I knew it wasn't the ability. I knew it wasn't like the actual fight. I knew it was a mental lapse, and I wanted to know where it was that I took myself out of the game.
Did you recognize yourself? You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'll talk to fighters, they'll watch tape, and they'll say, I don't even see like that's just another person in there. Like, what did you see?
Well, I think that could be for all fights. When you under the big lights and you're fighting, a different you is definitely in there. But I don't feel like I was executing the way I wanted to. I had a game plan, but once I stepped in the cage, I forgot about the game plan and I wasn't able to execute what I wanted. And it was definitely a difference, but it happens. So. That's why it's so many variables in the sport. We learn and we grow.
Did you fly coach?
Did I what?
Did you fly coach?
Fly coach?
Like on the plane?
Yeah, they had me in the middle seat. They had me.
What?
They had me in the middle seat.
I was the champ in the middle seat,
they
man.
Had me in the middle seat,
bro. How long is that flight?
10 hours or something crazy.
From California?
Yeah, from California.
That's still pretty long.
Yeah, no, it was a grueling flight. It was overwhelming and. But the funny thing is, I'll do it all over again.
What do you mean?
I want to go back to Japan and
But you want a new experience. You wouldn't.
We can do it all over again the same way.
Yeah.
But the results are going to change. The preparation is going to change, and I know. Well, I had little to no experience in a ring. Practicing like leading up to that fight. I maybe jumped in the ring maybe 1 or 2 times, and that was for pad work. It wasn't wrestling. It wasn't like, just familiarizing myself with positions I know inside the ring. It was a lot of stand up. Thinking I was a boxer. Mayweather was on the card. I'm thinking like, man, I'm gonna try to stand up with this guy. And you see a lot of stand up, but it just wasn't an executed game plan, a well executed game plan on my part.
Did you get a chance to meet Mayweather?
I seen him.
Yeah.
I want to fight him, So I was in there like talking shit, like this guy's next, like because you put those big gloves on, it's not like MMA gloves,
No, it certainly isn't.
Your heart gets bigger once those bigger gloves. With them small gloves, and when I can grab people, it just makes everything easier. So.
Now, why didn't you train in the hindsight's always 20/20, but why not train in the ring? Because did you just think it wouldn't be that different?
Well, I don't know why I didn't. I would like to, but
you had access to a ring, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, we got a ring in our gym, but for one reason or another, we didn't go in there. So.
It's interesting. Now this time around, you don't have to worry about any of that. Back into the cage.
Yes.
How do you think he's going to fare? Because here's the thing. He has experience in the cage as well. This is a well-credentialed opponent, but nevertheless, this is your home. Let's put it that way. Plus, has he ever fought in a circular cage? Because the circular cage is different than the flat paneled cage as well. I think he hasn't.
Yeah, he's familiar with the cage. He's had success in the cage. He worked his way up to a world title against Demetrius Johnson. But I just don't feel like he's going to be as comfortable as I'm going to be with the surroundings. I feel like the cage is going to work in my benefit.
Do you feel like you have something to prove?
Just to myself, because I know there's not a 135-pounder in the world that I can't beat, and he's that guy, he beat me and it's my turn.
By the way, do you still rollerblade to this day?
Never.
Yeah, just that one time.
Never. I don't.
No skateboards.
Nothing like that. Just no rollerblades, no skates, no.
You surf, maybe?
No wheels. Nah, I don't mess with the sharks. Like I don't mess with the water.
No, nothing.
Yeah, I'll go to the beach, but I ain't jumping in that water. Like that's not.
All the jiu-jitsu guys do that.
Yeah,
Look at all the Brazilians in here. They all surf. It's
yeah,
weird.
they that's where they come from. They come from Brazil, where the sharks are on the shore. So. Yeah. Like to be in the water in San Diego they're cool with that.
All right, fair enough. So let's talk about some of the fight pieces themselves. When you were locking up with him, even though everything had gone wrong, how did he feel physically?
Oh, he's strong.
Yeah.
He's definitely stronger. One of the stronger guys I've ever fought.
Really?
Yeah, he is though. He's like, and then the thing about coming up from 25, you know, and we see it with Henry, and you know, we see it with, you know, these guys going up in weight. You got all your strength, you know, as opposed to guys that's cutting weight, you know. So it definitely plays a factor where he has all his strength, and you know, I still got my strength, but he's as strong as he's gonna be at 135, you know, as opposed to 125. You know, his mental game was surprising. I wasn't used to that. You know, I'm used to, you know, second or third round breaking guys, you know, and looking across the cage, and I see them worn out, you know. And so for him, it wasn't the same. So for me, going into this fight, it's not about breaking him mentally. I'm gonna break his body. I'm gonna shut his body off.
Do you lift weights more now or when you were wrestling?
When I was wrestling, for sure.
What's the diff? Why?
I think that college, just like the whole college
mentality.
Yeah, you know, they eat weights up in college.
And now you don't really need it.
I just focus on like staying lean, you know, explosive.
You still feel like you're strong?
Oh yeah, I'm as strong as it.
Like when you would lock up with other 135ers?
Well, I actually we brought in some Arizona wrestlers, and I was wrestling with a kid. He's 19. And when I grabbed him, he had a different strength than anybody I was going with inside the MMA gym, and I was like, man, like these wrestlers are really freaking strong. Like it was a difference for sure.
Yeah, but still, you competitive. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You find ways around it, you know.
Right.
Speed kills. So.
It certainly does. Let's talk about the 135ers in the UFC, because what's interesting about this fight is, number one, it's a rematch and it's interesting and everything we've been talking about. But it's sort of like a world title to a degree, right? It's the best guy in Japan, Ryzen, more than Japan, but okay, that's where it's based, versus the best guy in Bellator. And then you saw what Henry did against Marlon. Did you expect Henry to do that?
I expected it.
Did you? I was caught by surprise. Tell me why you expected it.
Well, he's a champion, you know? He's won on every level of his combative career, you know? Same as me, you know? It's not like guys are coming from out of nowhere, you know, and just winning world championships. You know, like I'm sure guys like Adesanya, guys like Kamaru Usman, these guys have been doing this, you know, from grade school, and that's what Henry's been doing. He's been winning since grade school, and it's not going to change, you know. But it's when you get guys that both guys have been winning since grade school, and you know that's where you're gonna that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing. And I don't know Marlon's background, but I know Henry's a champion. I know he's won on every level. So I kind of knew after beating Dillashaw, like I thought Dillashaw was the best guy in the division outside of Dominic Cruz. And Henry,
he smoked him.
Yeah, he just ran over him. So I kind of figured that, but I've always questioned Henry's mental toughness, and if he can.
Tell folks why. Because I made the point here, when he didn't make the 2012 national team, you know, coming off the gold medal, you thought this guy was a lock to make the team. I don't think he made it past the semis, if not the quarters. But and then he just kind of fell off. He retired. He had the whole falling out with Terry Brands. Yeah. There was a lot of people being like, I don't know if this guy's going to work. And he missed weight twice in Legacy, you know. Yeah. But he eventually caught up. But why were you questioning?
Well, those are all of those things, you know. And when you're talking about quitting the sport, you know, you start to, you know, we seen that with Rory McDonald, and you know, we seen his last performance. He won the fight, you know, but that's not the best Rory McDonald we've seen, you know. And so whenever you start doubting yourself and you start doubting your abilities and what you're in the sport for, you know, that's all mental, you know. And so for me, just questioned his mental toughness, and he was able to, you know, pull out, like, be down in the first this last fight and win. Second round, I think. Third round, yeah. You know, but that's a credit to, you know, just sticking with it and grinding, you know, and that's what wrestling it brings out of you, you know. It gives you that never say die attitude, and it instills those values.
Daniel Cormier told me something once about wrestlers. It's not just that, like, I thought your earlier point was quite astute, which is like, oh, you got to get the guys who've been winning since the very beginning. He made a point. He goes, what sets Ronda apart from these women? She's a better athlete? Probably, but like, is that really what sets her apart? What sets her apart is that she's been a lifelong athlete. from day one, when she was 5, she was competing at whatever the highest level for 5-year-olds is, and then 7, 9, 11, 15, whatever, blah, blah. And at every interval, she's been the highest level, and she's been doing it since you had any athletic skill at all. That's what Henry's been doing. That's what you've been doing. That, to me, is the difference. Marlon looks the part, like he is chiseled out of stone, and maybe he's been one. I don't know. I can't say with any degree of certainty, but that to me is the difference, right? That's why Cormier succeeds. You succeed.
Absolutely.
That's the difference there.
Absolutely. It's very rarely are you going to see a guy in high school start their career wrestling and be a state champ by their senior year. You know, start as a freshman, and then senior year you're winning states. You know, very rarely you see that. You know, you
especially in New Jersey.
Especially in New Jersey. You know, and so it's countless hours because guys are really programmed to be a certain way and be a certain athlete, and years and years of experience of that, you know, is definitely going to be just an athletic, in-shape guy, you know.
If you fought Henry, what's the key to beating him?
I just beat him.
Henry, what does that mean?
He ain't fucking with me, period.
What does that mean?
It's just not the same. He's a little guy, you know.
You are big for a bantamweight, I have to say.
He's a little guy. Like, he's like Horiguchi, you know. 2006, we were on a Dapper Dan together, where it's Team USA, which is the #1 wrestlers in the country, which we were, myself and Henry were, versus Team Pennsylvania, which is predominantly the best wrestling state, you know, in the country. And he was just so small, and I never looked at him as a threat, and I still don't look at Henry as a threat. He's just he's a champion in a different division, or a different organization than I'm at, and. Once the UFC and which we know it probably won't happen so soon, but once the UFC starts cross promoting and agrees to fight their champs versus champs like Bellator's champs and whatever other champs, then
you're the guy.
Oh, I'm the guy. I mean, it is what it is. Again, Henry's not a threat. I would like that fight, you know, just because I know it'll go my way, and the UFC guys get more pub, more everything, yeah. And so
hey, you're here.
I know, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Of course.
So for me, Henry's not a threat. I'll get my hands on that guy. And
all right, very good. So for this week, is there a plan in terms of what you want out of Saturday? Is it just a W, or is there some kind of like Darrion Caldwell stamp you're trying to put on this guy? You know
I gotta finish this guy.
Yeah.
If I don't finish this guy, I'm not happy. I'm never really happy with just a win. You know, to me, a win is just a loss. Like, I gotta finish this guy. I'll only be happy if I finish him.
It's pretty hard to finish, though. Even Demetrius Johnson. Granted, it was a while ago and a different weight class, but
he's finishable, yeah.
He is, yeah, but who isn't?
Truth.
Who isn't? You know what I mean?
Nobody's susceptible to losing.
Is he the best guy you fought?
Horiguchi?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, far and away, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because the Time and Glow one, he caught you earlier in your career. This one is still, this is your more senior level at this point.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a vet in the sport, you know, and I think it's time that I start getting the credit that I deserve.
You don't think you do?
No, I don't. I think people overlook me, and they overlook because I fight for Bellator, which isn't the UFC, because whatever reason or not, you know, I think I've always been overlooked, whether it been wrestling, you know, where I go in there and beat a Metcalf, pin up Metcalf, you know, in 2008, and then 2009 I'm a big underdog. How does that happen? I just pinned the guy last year, you know. Whatever it may be, like, I just don't get the credit I deserve, but I continue to win, so it doesn't really matter to me, you know?
So is this fight with Horiguchi, is this best bantamweight on the planet in your mind?
Absolutely.
Yeah? You think Horiguchi's better than Henry Cejudo?
Absolutely.
Really?
I do.
Wow, that's bold.
If you see Henry's style, he mimics, you know, Horiguchi. He probably went back to the drawing board, like, who gave Demetrius Johnson their biggest fight, their hardest fight, you know, and before Henry beat Demetrius, Horiguchi was the best fight that Demetrius had, you know.
That's true.
You know, and so I'm sure before that, Henry didn't fight in that karate style, you know, so I'm sure he went back to the drawing board, used some of his tactics, his techniques, and, you know, now you have Henry Cejudo 2.0, who looks like a karate-style wrestler.
Karate-style wrestlers. Although he had to kind of box his way on this one. But,
Yeah, for sure.
But hey, let me ask you, the neck tattoos.
Yeah.
How painful is that?
Actually, they weren't painful.
I have a hard time believing that.
Nah. The painful tattoos were these right here, like.
Yeah, I've got some rib tattoos as well.
Yeah,
They
those
suck,
were. Yeah, those were painful.
These didn't hurt?
Nah, they got this numbing cream where you put it on for an hour, and you take it off, and you let it sit for about 30 seconds, and you're good for 4 hours, and you don't feel a thing.
Wow.
So yeah, so if your tattoo artist ain't using a numbing cream, then.
Bro, he's just knuckling me into the dirt with that needle gun. Good Lord. I never even heard of that. I've got many tattoos. I've never even heard of that thing.
Yeah, nah, for sure. The numbing cream is definitely, especially when you're going through 8-hour sessions. You know, I went through like a 8-hour session with, my neck and then my
watch the microphone.
My neck and then my stomach. You know, so
yeah.
Definitely when you going through that type of trauma, you wanna numb it up.
Are you going to do the John Wall bit where you just get covered head to toe?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not finished.
Yeah. No, I always.
No face tats though.
But isn't that really millennial? It's like a real millennial
Yeah,
to do
for
that.
sure. No face tats though.
No Tekashi 6ix9ine bit.
The closest to my face is maybe here, but
Let me see.
you know, behind
the ear, yeah.
Yeah, behind the ears, right behind the
beard line.
Yeah, the beard line. But the face tattoos, I think they're overrated.
Yeah, I've noticed like all these millennial rappers. I don't know what you call Post Malone, whatever he is. They all got the face work done.
Yeah.
That all seemed like a bridge too far to me.
Yeah, nah, I'm already intimidated. I don't need to be like that intimidated.
Fair enough. I got to tell you, well, I'm looking forward to your fight, man.
Thank you.
It is going to be real quickly, before I let you go. Son and Machida, who do you like? Pick a side.
I like Chael Sonnen.
You know what? I like him on this one too.
Yes.
Got to be honest.
I like it.
Rory versus Neiman Gracie.
That's
Very,
a tough
very
one.
dicey. Yes.
That's dicey. And now you asked me that question 2 years ago with Neiman Gracie as good as he is today, and Rory as mentally focused as he was 2 years ago, then I'd say Rory, you know. But nowadays it's a toss-up because we don't know. We don't know what kind of Rory is going to come out. So.
And I'll be honest. I had Neiman in here in studio. I told him I didn't see him beating Ed Ruth, but he did.
Yeah.
But he did.
Yeah.
You know, incredible.
That's a cool thing about our sport. It's so many variables, so many ways to win. You know, you just got to pick what works for you.
Well, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled you came in here. Cannot wait to see this fight. I've been telling everyone this is the best fight this weekend. It's the two best fighters.
It's the only fight that matters. Yeah.
It's incredible. So I normally say don't wish anyone good luck. I won't do that, but I will say thank you for coming in here. Our friends will guide you out, and I look forward to seeing your fight, man.
Thanks for having me on.
There we go. Nice meeting you. Appreciate the effort.
Yes, sir.
There we go. Darrion Caldwell, everybody.